Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
As you can see, if you could read this, and this is probably an extreme, as is usually the case, but $7.59 a gallon for gas in California.
Well, that doesn't surprise me there. The gas has always been a bit on the steep side, and it seems like California feels it. I don't know if they feel it first, but it's close to first when things start to get to extremes.
So this is a remote coastal town named Gorda. The town's only gas station is offering regular at $7.59, premium's $8.50. And this particular station's long had the highest prices in the country, but still, how far behind are the rest of us? How high will it go? We're going to be sharing an update from the Galactic Federation from Laurel, just to give some recommendations with what is coming. We can see the writing on the wall, as most definitely, we went out and the gas station 2 days ago was $3.09. Today it was $3.19. A couple of days before that, it was $2.99. And then if you went like 2 weeks before that, it was $2.65. So, we have relatively cheap gas in this area, but it's going straight up.
Yeah, it's creeping up.
Absolutely. Honestly, we've been talking about this again. Unfortunately, we have two pretty new bikes in Nevada that we never took.
Yep.
And now I'm thinking, do I get two more bikes for us to ride in case of the gas crunch, as we're driving around in a full-size pickup truck and we don't have a second vehicle? So, do I get bikes? Do I try to get an inexpensive motorcycle, a scooter, moped? I'm thinking something. Because, it's coming. It is definitely coming. As you see right here, we could be just weeks away from basically running out of crude. What? Now, it's interesting when you go deeper into this article, you'll see that Russia is 97% full as far as their stocks. And they're talking about, again, the pipeline that will run between Russia and Europe. Think about the power change that's underway. Many people have known that this whole change was going to come about, maybe even back in the 90s. As this is something that's been planned for a very, very long time. But we see the tensions between, the apparent tensions, let's say the apparent tensions, between the US, Russia, and China. And we're going to be talking about that, because that's something that's huge. And when we shared with you, say, a year ago, the outlook for a World War #3 coming about in the next year was relatively low compared to now. It was maybe somewhere around 25-30% at best, which is still way too high. But now it's up probably above 50-50. It's kind of shifted into that scenario, that timeline, which we have to shift away from. And I do think that most of the citizens in the United States don't have anything against the citizens in Russia or China. Again, this is all about the leadership that we have going on. And what we see, some of this, no physical oil at all in the largest U.S. commercial storage facility. There could be a massive super spike. They're calling it a super spike in oil. So part of what I'm saying is, you might have the case where Russia, if you're going to go at war, or if you are at war with somebody, they're not going to trade you oil. So if they have an abundance of oil, and by the way, have an abundance of gold, which is real, and so does China, a lot less debt, it's not a good scenario for the U.S. That's just basically it. We are heading into tough times. Our mission is to hold the light here in this country until we're through these times. So the guides have told us that if these bodies survive these times, to about 2030. Then we're going to be free to go elsewhere and enjoy maybe a respite in some tropical paradise if we're able to do that. But we're to hold the light here in this country, even though, as I look at my phone, it's 1:11. Uh-oh.
Signs.
Even though this country perhaps is going to have the most difficult road of any country on the planet in the next few years.
It will, and you guys have a job that's very important as well. When you have an activated light body and you practice using that light, it will lessen the severity of people being harmed or being in uncomfortable situations around you. So meditate, use your light body, make your surroundings just function better.
We had talked about those DEAGEL numbers that were giving massive decreases in certain countries' population, such as, the projected population of the United States being, depending on when you looked at their numbers, between 99 and 65 million people in just 2025. We're 2 months away from 2022. And by the way, we're in the thick of the Pluto transit right now. And most of you guys understand at least the basics of astrology. Astrology is, it's the signpost of the matrix that we're in. This is a matrix. It's a holographic fractal matrix. And everything is so interrelated. Yet, with free will, because there is free will, and some have said, well, how do we have free will when there's these controllers controlling the planet? Well, again, the oppression could come in any way at any time. But, our reaction to it, they're exerting their free will by trying to oppress us. We could exert our free will by pushing back and saying no. If we have it in us to do that. So the Pluto transit is the first time Pluto comes around to the same place where it was at the beginning of the birth of the nation, birth of this nation, the United States of America. And what it means is that this country is about to be transformed, rebirthed. It's going to change. It's not going to be the same. And we could all see the writing on the wall. As you look to Texas and Florida, South Dakota, some of the other states that are saying no, no, no. And then you have other states that are pushing forward, yes, 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 yes. And countries that are leading the way, such as, Canada and Australia, for instance. So very, very different scenario. We are heading for much more trying times. This is the beginning of the toughest stretch. So we haven't been in the toughest stretch yet, but now I think we could officially say we have 1 foot entering that doorway into the toughest stretch, which is probably going to be between now and 2025, and then hopefully starting to lighten a little bit after that year as we head towards 2030. And again, look at these different numbers that have been put out there and agendas. There was an agenda for the year 2021. Hasn't the year 2021 been a year that changes everything? And then we have the numbers that are going to look at how the change has brought about different effects in different places. And those DEAGEL numbers showed every single NATO country losing massive amounts of population. Everybody's going to immigrate to Russia and China, maybe. Well, because they don't lose people, barely. And, Central America, South America actually tend to gain people. So that does kind of indicate that they are expecting major migratory patterns. And when that company or whoever it was, they want to portray it like it's just a bunch of college kids that do it on their, off time. But yet it's talking about all the massive weapon purchases that are done all around the globe. And many say that there's truly alphabet soups behind that particular website. Well, when you look at the numbers, They say that's brought about by economic situations. Well, the big crunch is upon us. The big collapse is upon us. We know what's coming. So, the guides again have said to us, money in the bank, it might just disappear, so to speak. So you got to make sure that you have what you need at this time.
That's so important. Having something tangible that you can use, that you can trade, that you can do something with to make your existence easier when things are so difficult is far more important right now.
And I do see people catching on to that. And that's why, some have pretty good stockpiles of food. Some have pretty good stockpiles of, other things that would be necessary. Emergency medical equipment, bandages, aspirins, all your basic goods, food storage, water purification, other things related to health, other things related to self-defense as well. All the basics that you would need to homestead in your backyard, even if you're in suburbia. And we see inflation is approaching a tipping point at the grocery stores. Once supermarket prices rise more than 5%, consumer buying habits may start to change. I think they're changing. We were out just 2 days ago locally, and again, that's a much smaller town. And I didn't notice any major things as far as changes or differences. I did notice, mostly walking down the meat aisle, that there was very little, if none, organic grass-fed beef, organic chicken, organic turkey. There still was a lot of the non-organic stuff that was there. Pockets of little things missing, less choices, but it didn't look scary yet. And we do plan on making another trip in over the weekend, this time going into a bigger city to see what things are like there. And, there still is available online things at the moment. Like we just ordered another 25 pounds of organic steel cut oats. And that was available. Granted, the price was, I think, $63 is what I paid this time for this particular brand. And last time I paid $49. But, it's been a year. So things are going up. We have to recognize that. And the tension just keeps going up. You see, U.S. Army and Navy successfully test 3 hypersonic weapons prototypes. And this obviously comes on the heels of China testing one of their hypersonic weapons that went around the globe, they tell us. They say it went entirely around the globe. Now, China and Russia, as we see, Russia fires missile capable of carrying hypersonic warheads from Europe to Asia, and a test of nuclear submarine in the far north, in the Arctic. And, that is yet another successful test. As it appears, if you're paying attention, it appears that technologically Russia and China have leapfrogged the U.S. And I was reading an article that was written from a Russian perspective, and they were just saying, are you surprised? Why are you surprised? Because basically the U.S. has been so taken advantage of in everything they do fiscally that you shouldn't be surprised, because you're way overpaying, even though the U.S. budget is more than Russia and China combined and about 5 other nations. The U.S. is not getting its bang for its buck, so to speak. And over here, why U.S. military analysts urge Biden to avoid standoff with Russia and China at all costs, because basically the military experts have run the scenario multiple times. They've run the Taiwan invasion scenario, and 18 out of 18 times the U.S. Gets defeated quickly trying to stop China from taking over Taiwan. And in fact, they say the U.S. would be hard-pressed to actually defeat, without the use of nuclear weapons, of which Russia has an equal amount, actually a slightly larger amount than the U.S. does. and the Galactics wouldn't allow the nuclear weapons anyway. Hence, this is why they've basically made them smaller and more compact to try to get underneath whatever the ceiling is as far as how powerful they are. But they say that the U.S. would be hard-pressed to all and out defeat either of those nations and would have no chance against both of them combined. So say the experts.
It's right. It's, a lot of information going on there. It's a bit much for me. A lot of people tend to disconnect, and I can say I've disconnected a little bit from this, but you have to know what's going on so you can get ready.
And of course, there's weapons that we don't see, and we can assume that the U.S. has, Cindy and I have seen some. We've seen a flying triangle more than one time, something similar to a TR-3B, maybe a newer version. And we did have one flying directly next to us in Mississippi, just south of Hattiesburg by a military base there. And then we've also been off of Area 51, and we had a jet fighter come down right next to us. And whatever propulsion system it was using, it was absolutely stealth and silent. There was no roar of engines at all.
Yeah, it was like right outside. Just outside, you look over and there it is. And I couldn't believe how quiet that thing was. There's no purr, there's no wind. You heard nothing. Amazing.
Yeah, I think we were about 30 miles north of Pahrump on 95. And we were heading southbound towards Vegas when it came right next to us and just flew alongside of us.
It was really strange too, because it flew alongside of us for a while, and then it went forward, and I watched it, and the darn thing, it like disappeared into it was like cloaked into it's hard to explain, because you know how you see things and you follow them, you track them with your eyes for as long as you can. And I should have been able to track it further, but it's like it vanished. It was crazy.
It was wild. So now we want to share with you an update that we have from the Galactic Federation from Laurel.
Namaste.
Namaste. How are you?
We are well. This is Laurel. There are others who wish to speak. I wanted to come through and discuss with you the changes on your planet and the changes in the United States. They are putting into place features and presentations that are going to appear to be something that is helpful for everyone, to keep everyone safe from the sickness that is spreading. But these are more rules and regulations in recreating your country under an authoritarian rule. You do have the time and the opportunity to overcome this. You do not have to submit to it. We do believe if we tell you these things, you will take into consideration running the energy needed in this country, on this planet, to maintain your freedoms. We're hoping this transmission will help you do this. We are quite concerned about delivery systems being slowed or stopped. People may find themselves quite uncomfortable. We do hope that it does not go to an extreme. that the one moment, please. One moment, this transmission is being interrupted. We are hopeful that it will not be extreme. We are hopeful that everyone will unite and make choices to keep yourselves free, make your souls sovereign, keep your sovereignty. We are hoping this transmission will help do this. We are also sending energetic transmissions through this channel as you listen to bring healing to your minds, bodies, and soul so that you may be stronger for the coming events. All one needs to do is accept this healing energy, this healing frequency. This will penetrate your energy body into your 3D body, making adjustments so that you might stay on a healing path. These healing frequencies we will be sending out more often through this channel as times become more and more difficult. We will be sending them through many different channels, many different pathways as the darkness is using these airwaves to hinder. We will be using these airwaves to heal. It is what is good for the goose is good for the gander. We can play both games. We can send our energies out as they do and bring healing and unity. We do not wish for anyone to panic. There is no need to panic. There is only a need to help yourself so you can help others. If you are helping yourself and others, we do everything we can to assist you from where we are at. But it is important that you take steps in helping the self. Thank you.
Well, if I may ask, many people are wondering, we've had friends wonder about how much is good to have stored as far as food and seeds and things along those lines. Do you have any recommendations there?
We would recommend people start their stores with a bare minimum of 3 months. This might give you time to adjust yourselves, adjust your situation, but not so much that if you need to relocate, you should be able to bring this with you. If not, it is not a huge amount to leave behind. Have available 3 months to get started. Maybe you can start an indoor garden of some kind if you do not have a yard. Be creative. humans and their creativity is very well known. Humans do great things to survive, and these difficult times will bring about your creativity. It is the necessity in which activates your creative energy forces.
We are seeing many people now saying no to things that have been directed, as we've been calling them, dates for men, putting things into reverse. This seems to me to be a perfect time for these people that are saying no, and in many cases leaving their jobs, their work, their occupation, to somehow come and band together and do their own thing together, coming together in support groups and working together perhaps in a communal way. Do you agree?
We agree. We have been speaking of this, the separation of energies, for many, many years. It starts with individuals finding their energy band being magnetically pulled toward one individual or one place or another, following the signs. Then this moves to higher frequencies where groups of people are separating their energies and rejoining energies. This separation can be frightening. It can be concerning and unstable. However, it is for the greater good that these energies separate. It is time to decide where you want to be on the light spectrum. Are you going to go where the light is brighter, or are you going to stay where it is dim? Everyone has their own ability to choose. Whichever you choose is right for you. This is okay. This is where you wish to be. But it is time to choose one way or the other.
We had reported yesterday on the possibility of Chinese tanks being loaded on ships en masse. Do you have an update as far as the situation on the timeline of China invading Taiwan, or the war that we've been talking about potentially starting?
Most of this information is cloaked information that we are unable to see on our timeline. What we can do is tell people to prepare for difficult times ahead, and that these scenarios that are being talked about could come true. We cannot give a definitive answer, as things are ever changing and much of it is cloaked so that it cannot be seen on the timeline.
Thank you, Laurel. We appreciate you sharing with us and guiding us.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So that was Laurel from the Galactic Federation and also the Pleiadian High Council. And we just hope that you guys are ready, because as we've been sharing it, it's most definitely go time. And as she said, it's time to choose. You know, will we cave? Will we submit? Boy, that makes me think of They Live, Roddy Piper movie. Remember that? It's right out there in the sign subliminally. Obey. Submit.
And look on, like when you are filling out a form on a computer, you know, it always says submit.
All right. Submit the form.
Yes.
Submit your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Submit. Give in. Or will we simply say no and figure out alternatives?
Right. Let's do this and figure out alternatives and just never give up. Keep going, keep pushing through, keep making yourself better. Just keep pushing forward and you're going to do fine. And they did say, and Mike and I have seen this time and time again, as long as you're helping yourself or you're helping others, they will step in. They will step in wherever they are allowed to. They're going to help. And just believe that, know it in your heart, and everything is going to be okay. Things need to change, so we have to stand back and allow things to change. And that might not be very comfortable, but it is going to change for the better ultimately.
It is. So we want to thank you guys, as always, for being part of this family. As we had mentioned yesterday, check out our website, because maybe, you learn a little bit more about who we are and what we do. It's evolutionaryenergyarts.com. And we want to thank our new Patreons.
Yes, we want to say thank you to Amanda, Jenny, Keon, and I know we haven't mentioned this very much, but we do have a thing on Rumble. We're on Rumble too.
Yeah, we are on Rumble. We're also on Brighteon. Pretty much every video we do goes on Rumble and Brighteon now. I tried out brand new YouTube. I'm not sure if it's worth it, honestly, but we'll keep moving forward with definitely Rumble and Brighteon. We were on Bitchute. We're not able to post to Bitchute. We've made multiple accounts, and they have no explanation for why we are banned from Bitchute. But apparently we are banned from Bitchute for some reason. But, again, it's all part of this. This is part of the reason why we don't have the apparent views for being a source for direct communications from the Galactic Federation. Well, it's because we are a direct source, direct to the Galactic Federation and other guides. And so, this system will always fight us. When you are listening to that transmission, this was a little different. Instead of saying the channel was having difficulties, hang on, and I run more energy through Cindy to bring up the bandwidth, so to speak, this was an attempt to disconnect it or to interfere from the dark side directly to affect the transmission, to stop the transmission from the Galactic Federation. As the dark side knows that the Galactic Federation is starting to encode healing frequencies and energies in our transmissions. And they're going to do it with others. Cindy and I are 2 people of a group of 12. And, there are other groups out there as well that are doing exactly what we are in different ways, in different forms. But there are many out there that are preparing the Earth for its transformation and the change as we shift out of this dark Kali Yuga into a new, much more enlightened age.
Absolutely. We just have to hold the light and know and believe and, hold the highest vibration possible.
And also check out Medicinal Foods if you haven't yet. I want to thank everybody that supported us through there, because when you use the coupon code EEA and you get 5% off your order, you're also supporting the channel. There's a link at the top of every video. Be prepared, guys. We're going into the thick of things now. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.